It's coffee time, it's coffee time, it's the One Pot Chef drinking coffee and time. What do you think of it so far? Rubbish.
It's been a long time coming, but welcome to Coffee Time, the chat show here on the One Pot Chef blog where I answer questions sent in by you. And if you've got a question for the next edition of Coffee Time, all you need to do is leave it in the comment section underneath this video on YouTube. Now, the last Coffee Time was, I think, back in February. So it's been quite some time. So it goes to show how much time has passed since I started to get ill and had to go to hospital and have surgery and recuperation and all that sort of crap. So it's been a while. We've got a few questions piled up from two separate Coffee Time videos in the past. So I've condensed them down. We're going to do them all in one video. I had to remove a couple of the questions because they were time dependent and they're no longer relevant. But we've got a fair batch of questions here. So let's get started with the first question, which comes from Tom Monty. And his question is, have you watched any or all of the Harry Potter movies? And if so, which was your favourite? What is your opinion on them? And who is your favourite character? Funny you should mention this, because while I was ill, I actually started watching the Harry Potter films, because I'd only seen, I think, the first two when they first came out. I hadn't watched the rest of them. But I've been actually sitting there watching them. I haven't watched the last two, but I've watched everything else now. And I was enjoying them, sort of. Like, the first few were quite enjoyable, but I found that they were getting darker and darker as they went along, which I wasn't getting into. I definitely enjoyed the first three the most, though. Favourite character? I don't know, I liked Dumbledore. I liked his sort of almost mysteriousness to him, and I like the humour that goes through the movies. I think that's great. That being said, as I said, the humour seemed to die off a bit towards the end, and it seemed to just be getting darker and darker as the themes seemed to get much more adult. So, yeah, so that's my opinions on Harry Potter. Tom Monty also asks, what is your favourite British film? I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. I don't know, because I don't know a lot of British films offhand, I suppose. Possibly one of the James Bond films, maybe, because I don't know if they're technically still British anymore, but I think they are. Definitely like Skyfall recently, that was good. And GoldenEye, I loved GoldenEye. David Brankovic asks, how come your partner is so camera shy, and do you two live with his mother or the other way round? I don't know why he's so camera shy. It's probably because he just isn't into what I do. Sort of like it's just not something that he's into. So I don't force him to get involved in my sort of activities. I don't force myself into his work. So I think that's pretty much all it comes down to. As for our living arrangement, we invited his mother to come and live with us when we bought this house, because we thought it would make things a lot easier for everyone, because there was a lot of issues at the time with finances and whatnot, and we all wanted to try and help each other out, and it works very well for us. Next question. Let's see. From Cameron Crawford. What places in the US would you like to visit and why? Well, I've only been to LA so far, and I did enjoy it, although it was very odd. I'd love to go to New York. I'd love to explore the New York food scene. It looks like a city that I would definitely enjoy visiting. I'd love to go to Texas, because I'd like to find out if everything truly is bigger in Texas. Wink, wink. Honestly, no, I'd love to go and see the Texas State Fair, because there's something really odd about anywhere that can come up with deep fried Coca-Cola. That's just blows my mind and is weird. So I love that. I'd love to check that out. I hear Chicago does good pizza. I'd love to go and check that out. Yeah, I'd like to do like a foodie road trip of the States. I think that'd be cool. Jacques Refrigier, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I apologise if I'm not. Do you have any One Pot Chef merchandise, such as t-shirts or mugs? I did years ago, and nobody bought them, so I shut down the shop. I have actually considered opening up a new merchandise store recently, so I would love if you guys have any suggestions as to what you'd like to see, like t-shirts or mugs or whatever. Put them in the comments section, let me know, and when it comes to t-shirts, like if you're thinking like what should be on the t-shirts, is there a slogans that you're thinking of or something like that? Let me know. We'll see what I can do. Jacques has another question as well. What is your favourite dish to make for your partner? Does he cook as well? He cooks when he's forced into it. He pretends that he can't cook, which is kind of entertaining. And if I sort of say, I'm too tired or I'm not well or I can't be bothered cooking, it's your turn to cook. He'll go, okay, we'll do a Macca's run. Go to McDonald's. But Brian's favourite is probably lasagna. When I make lasagna, but I don't make it very often because I make it from scratch. It takes forever. It's very labour intensive, so I don't make it very often. But when I do, it's really good, and Brian loves it. Did you ever have an experience? This is from Joy Maurice. Did you have an experience where you cooked a meal for the first time and it ended up a total failure? It happened when I was making panna cotta. It happens occasionally. There's video evidence of it actually on the cooking channel where I tried to make something. I found a recipe online for Coca-Cola chicken and it was revolting. It looked like death. It's happened a couple of times where I've tried to make something and something's gone wrong, or I've forgotten an ingredient at the last minute and forgotten it's too late. And I think it happens to everyone. It usually happens when I'm not concentrating or if I'm not paying attention or something. But yeah, I don't think I've had any catastrophic failures recently, so that's a good one. Light Lunch Boy, what's your favourite song, if I can ask, and why? I don't know what my favourite song is at the moment. See, I go through warped sort of musical taste, sort of flowing down a river type thing. It changes quite regularly. I'm going through a very disco thing at the moment, which I'm almost loath to admit. But yeah, I think I've told you before about my sort of disco mix in the car where I'm be stuck at the traffic light singing Ring My Bell or Le Freak Chic. I can't help it. I'm a camp-old queen. What can I say? But I don't know if I have a specific favourite at the moment. I don't know. I'm sort of a bit of everything. Yeah, a bit of a mixture type person. Naruto Uzumaki asks, would you want to live forever? Absolutely not. I couldn't think of anything worse. I'm not in love with the idea of dying, but I don't think I'd want to live forever because I could just imagine the consequences. I think everything has its time, and I'll be happy for it to be over when it's over. Like, I don't think I want to be a decrepit old man living to 300 years old, dribbling into my incontinence pants. No. I'll be happy to switch my own switch off when the time comes. Robert Matthew, what is your favourite pudding and do you still go to YouTube gatherings? Favourite pudding, I suppose, or dessert. I don't know, I like all sorts of different kinds of things. At the moment, I'm loving little baked pudding type things like a chocolate lava cake. I've always loved chocolate lava cake, and because it's fairly easy to do, you can throw it together fairly quickly and makes a lovely thing after dinner. YouTube gatherings, I haven't been to one for a little while, but I think it's more that I've just sort of there hasn't been a major gathering nearby to me recently. I think the last one I went to was up in Brisbane, and that was about a year or so ago. But I haven't had a chance to go to one recently, and because of my illness in the last sort of 6 months or so, I've definitely not been up for that. But if there's one coming soon, I will probably be going to it, because it's been a while since I've been to one. I'd love to catch up with everybody. Ryan Kelly asks, if you could only live off of one country's original food dishes, what country would it be? I'm not sure. Maybe... Well, I love my pasta, so I'd have to say Italy. But I love Chinese cuisine as well, because there's such a variety and, so many different sort of combinations of tastes and textures and flavours. So definitely a toss-up between maybe China and Italy. Ninja Dude 1021. You have a chance to decide the world should no longer prepare a certain dish. What dish would you ban? I don't think I could make a decision like that, because I think there's no wrong way to enjoy food, although maybe cannibalism is probably something that should be outlawed. Cannibalism. You know, it's coffee time when there's cannibalism references. That being said, I would pay good money to see the end of cauliflower and cheese. It's revolting. My mother used to make that when I was a child, and yeah, no amount of tomato ketchup can cover up that abomination. It's revolting. Brody Cousins asks, have you ever had an experience with Ouija boards? If so, please share. Ouija or Ouija boards? No, I don't think I've ever owned one. I don't think I've ever used one. I've seen them in movies. I've never seen one in real life, I don't think. Maybe they're not something that's in Australia. I don't know. I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall ever using one, so I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever seen one. Sandra Hidalgo asks, from the time you visited the US, what did you enjoy the most? Something that maybe you have never seen or experienced in Australia. I don't know if I enjoyed this the most, but it was definitely something I'd never seen in Australia before. One of the days when I was filming at the Tastemade Studios, I came in and it was early morning, and the production people had laid out a little table of things like coffee and cakes and donuts and that sort of thing, the sort of generic American breakfast type thing. And I went to go grab a cup of coffee, and I noticed this cardboard box on the table with a spout on the front, which I thought was utterly bizarre because I thought it was a cask of wine. And I was there sort of thinking, why have they put this out? Who's the alcoholic who needs a cask of wine at 8 o'clock in the morning? And when I saw other people using it, I realised it was actually a cask of hot coffee. It was actually exactly the same as a wine cask, but it had hot coffee in it. I had never seen that before in Australia, so it was very unusual. It's sort of, I found that quite confronting. But that being said, American coffee, oh, the less said about that, the better. Lisa Goldstone. Lisa Goldstone is my partner manager at Tastemade. And her question is, if you were a food, what would you be? You know, I had to keep it food related. If you were a food, what would it be? I don't know. Something large, a large fattening tart? I don't know. Definitely nothing with vegetables in it. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm going to I'll plead the fifth on that one. Mandy Dalton, who is your favourite Doctor Who character besides the Doctor? If we're talking the new series, I think it's got to be Donna. I loved Donna Noble, and I really hated what they did to that character. It was so unfair. I think that she had a lot more to do in that series, and they sort of wiped her out, and I think it was a bit unfair. Spoilers. I also liked River a bit, but although her character made absolutely no sense plot-wise. Anthony H., what was your favourite movie as a kid? I remember seeing The Never-Ending Story as a kid. That was many years ago, but to be honest, I can't actually remember anything about it there, but I do remember I loved it as a kid. There was also another movie called Flight of the Navigator. That was a fun movie, and I haven't seen that for years. That's something I might look up on Apple TV and see if it's as good as I remember. And I think The Karate Kid. I think I saw The Karate Kid as a kid as well, and that I really enjoyed that too. So, yeah, odd sort of combination of movie choices there, I think. Tammy Peters has 3 questions. What made you decide to be a cook? Do you work outside the home? And when will you come to Canada? I don't know why I decided to become a cook. It just sort of was something that came along the way, because I've always had an interest in food and in cooking. It's something that was always part of my home life as a kid, and it sort of influenced my career choices, and it took me to where I am today. I don't work outside the home anymore. This is my YouTube stuff is pretty much my job these days and everything related to it, so it keeps me busy. I don't have a lot of time. I'm actually filming this. It's 8 o'clock at night at the moment. I'm actually filming this, so I should be sitting in front of the TV having a glass of wine and relaxing or something, but I know I'm still working. And when will you come to Canada? I would love to come to Canada. I want to eat poutine. I love that. I've seen it on so many videos and I want to actually have the real thing. I'd love to go to Canada. I've seen so much about it and it'd be such a wonderful place to visit, but it's so far away and very expensive to go to from Australia. So, I don't know, I'll have to see. Like, hopefully fortune shines on me. It will be something that I'll get to do on my world food tour. That's my hopes that it will come to my sort of life sometime. Pam Mann asks, what star sign are you and do you read the horoscopes? I'm an Aquarius, but I don't read the horoscopes. I don't believe in it. It doesn't do anything for me. I think sort of, I don't purposely go out of my way to read the horoscopes. If I happen to have it in front of me, I'll probably read it just for a chuckle, but they're usually so ridiculously vague, it's a very little meaning to me. So, yeah, it doesn't really mean much to me. I make jokes about Brian, because he's a Sagittarius. I say he's half man, half horse, and has license to shit in the street. Inappropriate. Okay, next question. License to shit in the street. Oh, I blame Billy Connolly for that one. Let's see. Sando the Mando asks, several questions. Does your partner Brian have any input or contribution to aspects of your videos? What songs lift your spirits and make you want to drift into the clouds? Clouds. I need my glasses. What are your top 5 favourite and least favourite movie genres? And last but not least, would you rather drink a bucket of wee or eat a teaspoon of poo? God, where do these questions come from? Okay, we'll go back to the beginning. Brian doesn't have much involvement in my videos. When I first started, before I had any idea what I was doing, I didn't even have a tripod or anything like that, so Brian would actually help to film the videos, but I went and got myself a tripod and started filming the videos entirely myself. It made things a lot easier, so I wasn't waiting for when Brian was free to help me with making videos. But yeah, he doesn't really get involved in what I do these days, except for eating the food. What song lifts your spirits and makes you want to drift through the clouds? I don't know. I've never been asked that question before. I'm completely unprepared to answer that. I don't know. There is a song by Urban Cookie Collective, and I can't remember the name of the song. Feels Like Heaven. That's it. Feels Like Heaven. Look it up on iTunes. Yeah, I could listen to that all day. It's very sort of uplifting. I love that song. And who's making noises? Bad Twitter. So even when I'm sort of sitting down being sort of relatively busy, I'm still getting contacted by everyone. Yeah, what was the song? Urban Cooking Collective's Feels Like Heaven. Yeah, I love that song. I've got that in the car and I play that, and it's definitely my make me happy dance song. Next one. Let's see. Got to change pages here. Next question is, if I can find it. Have you tried cold brewed coffee? No, I haven't. I've heard of it, and it's not common in Australia. I think it's something you'd have to make for yourself at home. It's not something that I've seen commonly available at coffee shops or anything around here, but I understand the coffee's actually not brewed with hot water. It's actually soaked in cold water and then strained, and I've heard it's very good, but I've never actually tried it. It's something that I would like to try. Let's see. Next question is from Kirioe Pingu. What's your favourite country, and what is your favourite country you've eaten at? Oh goodness, I don't know. I will tell you an odd story, is that when I was a kid, probably about 5 or 6 years old, my parents decided to take me over to Britain for my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. And while we were over there, they decided to do a tour of Russia. And at the time, Russia was under communist rule. This was back in 1986, I think, roughly. And so it was very sort of odd to go over there, but like it was something that was being advertised as being cheap and lots of interesting things, and it was somewhere that none of us had ever been to. And the flight to Russia was awful. It was a horrible old plane, and the people who worked on the plane didn't speak English of any kind, and they were very aggressive, and the food on board was terrible. I vaguely remember that the breakfast was cold chicken with gravy on it. That was it. There was no sort of drink or anything like that. But when we got to Russia, we got to a hotel, and they had this restaurant downstairs in the hotel, and they had what were like, they looked like buns, but it was actually a kind of cake, and it had some kind of a chocolate sort of icing on the top. And it was absolutely the yummiest thing I've ever eaten, and I've never been able to find anything even remotely close in taste to it anywhere else. It was very odd. It was some kind of a Russian thing, but I have no idea what it was called, and I don't know what it is. Maybe if I've got a Russian viewer, they might have an idea of what it was that I was eating, but it was absolutely delicious. But yeah, I've never tried anything quite like that. I wouldn't say that was my all-time favourite thing, but it was just something that sparked to my memory then. So as for favourite country, I don't know. I haven't travelled overseas a lot as an adult. I've only travelled to Los Angeles recently, but most of my overseas travel was when I was very young, so I don't have a lot of memories of travelling, so I'm not sure. But I better say Australia, otherwise I'll be classified as a traitor and asked to leave. Go Australia! Let's see. Next question. I'm trying to look at the screen and not bend away from the camera. Okay, from Yoshi the Kid 18. Will we be seeing another One Pot Chef Nico coffee time in the future? Obviously, the One Pot Chef Nico collab on the coffee time recently was a big success. Everyone seemed to love it. I know we had a lot of fun making it, so we probably will be doing another one in the future, but it just comes down to when the two of us are in the same place at the same time, because we live on opposite ends of the continent. We don't get to actually see each other in real life very often. So if I ever fly back to Perth, or if he comes over to Sydney, chances are we probably will do another one, so you never know. We'll see how it goes. Crucify has two questions. Do you like Vegemite, and what was your worst hangover experience? I like Vegemite now and again. I go through phases where I will literally eat nothing but Vegemite sandwiches or Vegemite on toast. I will just love it, absolutely eat it like crazy. And then I'll just go off it and won't want to be anywhere near it for like 6 months. And then boom, I'll be back to it again. Yeah, it's one of those things that you will either like it or you won't like it. And I'm sort of almost both at the same time, which just makes me just that little bit odd. As for the worst hangover experience, I'm lucky that I virtually never get hangovers. I don't drink much these days, but back in my drinking days when I used to go clubbing and stuff, I used to drink an extraordinarily bad amount of alcohol, but I never really had any after effects afterwards, except for maybe having a little bit of a fuzzy head when I first woke up, but once I had like a cup of coffee or something to eat, I would feel fine. So I don't think I ever had the mind-crushing hangovers that you see people have on TV and things like that. I've never had that. Braden Dixon asks, my question is, what sports do you follow? What teams do you follow in the AFL and the NRL? For my non-Aussie viewers, AFL and NRL are the two codes of Australian football that is here. So you've got rugby league and Australian rules. I don't really follow sports, to be honest. And the only time I actually watch the footy, usually the NRL, is when my partner watches it, and I can't say I watch it for the sports. Yeah, although I must admit, I didn't really see much of AFL, but when I was over in Perth to visit Nico, he sat me down and made me watch a game of AFL, and I think he was genuinely shocked at my running commentary. I don't think I'll ever watch football again the same way. Let's see. Oh, Rachel Beckett has asked several questions. Have you ever heard of Sheffield, England? I've heard of it. I've never been there. I understand they make a lot of knives and steel things. But beyond that, I've never actually been there. She also asked, have you heard of Fawlty Towers? It is one of my all-time favourite British sitcoms. I love it. I've got it on DVD and I pull it out quite regularly and have a good giggle to it. It's one of those few shows where you can watch it 100 times and it's still funny. Rachel Beckett also asks, have you heard of these American shows? Okay, Law and Order SVU. Yes, they play it like 47 times a day here in Australia. The Taste with Nigella Lawson. I've heard of it. It's never been shown here as far as I know, but they were playing it when I was in LA last year. And I managed to catch a couple of episodes of it, and yeah, I couldn't quite get into it. It was odd. It was an odd concept. America's Got Talent. Yes, I've heard of it. I don't watch it. It is shown here in Australia on pay TV, but it's not something that I'm really into. We've got an Australian version. Australia's Got Talent, and yeah, it's kind of crap. Who is your favourite Family Guy character? Mine is Stewie, because of his sexy parties. Yeah, I'm probably the same. I think Stewie and Brian, I like them both. I think they're a great combination of characters. Those two work together really well. Very funny. What else have we got? Oh, another one from Rachel. Have you heard of Cherpumple? Cherpumple. It's short for cherry, pumpkin and apple pie. Cherpumple is 6 desserts in one. Good God. Cherry pie baked inside a white cake, a pumpkin pie baked inside a yellow cake, and an apple pie baked inside a spice cake. All of the layers are then stacked and sealed with cream cheese frosting. Holy crap, I've never even heard of anything like that. That's deeply disturbing, actually. I've never heard of that. I'm going to have to look that up to see what it looks like, because that sounds over the top. That sounds way over the top. Another question from Rachel. Do you like stand-up comedy? My favourite comedians are Jeff Dunham, Bill Engvall, Jeff Foxworthy, John Pinette, Gabriel Iglesias, and George Lopez. With the exception of Jeff Foxworthy, I haven't heard of any of those people. I do like stand-up comedy, but I mostly like Australian stand-ups. So people like Will Anderson, Judith Lucy, Josh Thomas, they're all Australian stand-up comedians who have also got other sort of things going on. They also do TV and various other things. But I love seeing Will Anderson on stage. He's incredibly funny live. I can't say I know a lot of American stand-up comedians, sort of, except for when you see those bloody... what are they called? Those things where they just basically insult the crap out of you. Comedy roast things. Yeah, I've seen a few of them on there, but I couldn't name one of them if you paid me. Next question comes from Pony Creepers. Have you ever touched snow? And if so, where? No, I've never touched snow. I've never even seen snow in real life. I've never lived in an area where it snows. It actually was apparently snowing very close to me yesterday because we had a freak storm in Sydney, but it wasn't anywhere near here. We didn't get the snow. So yeah, we'll have to eventually see snow one day. I think it's something that has to happen. It's one of those things that not a lot of Australians get to see unless they go sort of skiing or something like that. And even there, it's mostly fake snow. So yeah, definitely have to add that to my to-do list. Next question comes from MA Blogs. Where I live, Australia is often slammed for its dangerous wildlife. Are there exceptionally dangerous animals that you have come across, or is it an exaggeration? Australia has this reputation for having these really dangerous and venomous creatures, which is, for the most part, true. But I think it's exaggerated in the such that a lot of people do not have contact with these things. Like, They say about the snakes and the spiders and stuff like that. For the most part, most people never encounter them, but like redback spiders is one of the most venomous spiders in the world. We have them in most people's backyards, but most people know to avoid them, and the spiders themselves will do their best to try and avoid people. If you start sort of poking and prodding at them and creating trouble, then yeah, they're going to come after you. And it's the same with snakes. If you've got a snake in your backyard, if you're going to go out there and try and attack it with a hose or beat it with a stick or something, of course it's going to come and attack you. That being said, I can't say I've ever had any sort of major venomous object things come at me in my home. The worst I've had is a huntsman spider, and they're not sort of dangerous to humans. They're just a big spider that occasionally climbs into your house, and you just got to shoo them out, basically. They're actually good to have around because they tend to get rid of any sort of nasties that might be creeping around your home, like mice and things like that. So it's best to leave them alone, just to shoo them outside. And we're coming to the last question, which... oh, actually, is one I've already answered because it was on the previous video. Oh, we're all out of questions. God, that happened quicker. Well, that was a fun little coffee time, and not as long as we normally do, but it was fun to do. So get your questions in for the next edition of Coffee Time. Lots of more sort of up-to-date questions will be good. So if you've got any questions, leave them in the comment section underneath this video on YouTube, and I shall get to them up the next video. Lots of love to you all. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.